江湖之大是无奇不有啊，水上漂、隔空取物、隔山打牛，这都是我们耳闻已久、无缘目睹的绝技。那近日呢，传说当中的这个隔山打牛重现江湖了。为我们展示的呢是一位84岁的老人邱福义，精彩不容置疑，绝对让您大饱眼福。
这还只是武汉奇人邱福义所练奇功的一小部分，而他
今年84。
别急，这只是前戏，接下来的更精彩。
上次这是干嘛呢？
把这瓶子打破。
接下来是隔空移物。这也太神了！难道你有特异功能？
我说我不是神啊，我没有功夫。
可究竟是怎么做到的呢？
这叫内气外放，外气内收。比如说这么一下去，这一去它东西呢一种气场，达到生物效应，它就走一就把它推倒了。
邱老见我们还意犹未尽，就又来了一手硬功夫。而且邱老不单会气功，还是个非常有名的老中医呢。
现在71年的医生了。
现在邱老一门心思都花在行医上，而气功也只是他锻炼身体的手段罢了。不过，邱老，您锻炼身体的方式也太特别了吧
！Next, this mystic healer emits unbelievable power from the palm of his hand.
I've never seen that happen before.
An infrared camera captures the white-hot heat. Ripley's Believe It or Not will be right back.
What you are about to witness defies everything Western medicine has taught us about human physiology. This man treats patients with boiling point heat that comes right out of his hand.
If you walk in here feeling 100%, you walk out feeling about 115, 110. The next day, you're 160%. The amount of energy you feel, the feeling of well-being, the focus that you have is incredible.
For the first time on television, Master Joe's remarkable ability will be visibly measured by a camera designed especially for the detection of heat.
It's going up, it's still rising.
Master Joe first learned to harness his inner energy more than 50 years ago while growing up in China. He learned Kung Fu from his grandfather at the age of 7. By the time he was 16, his uncle began teaching him an ancient practice called Qigong to help him maintain his body strength. He's been using it ever since, both as a student and as a master. Qigong is one of 3 ancient healing arts in China, along with acupuncture and herbology. Master Joe says it can heal a variety of ailments.
头痛、胃、开你弱。那么这个还有输卵管里面的输卵管没海子。
But instead of poking needles into pressure points, Master Joe uses energy instead. For 2,000 years, practitioners and patients claim the release of this inner energy has helped ease the agony of everything from back pain to achy joints, even cancer. 10 years ago, Joe moved to the United States to practice his healing art here. One of his patients is Dr. Michael Upshur, a retired anesthesiologist who spent his entire career working with state-of-the-art medical equipment. There was one thing Western medicine couldn't do: ease the pain of his arthritis. That's when he reluctantly agreed to see this healer. After only 3 months, Dr. Upshur says the results he experienced defy scientific reasoning.
I can't explain it in any way in terms of either Western medicine or what little I know of Western physics or chemistry or whatever. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Master Joe begins with what looks like a simple massage. He then takes a piece of tinfoil, dampens it with water, and wraps it inside a paper towel. He lays that on Dr. Upshur's chest and begins waving his hands over his body. What happens next is nothing short of amazing. Using time-lapse photography, watch as steam begins pouring off the paper towel in just 60 seconds.
When I first had it done, I was face down. I couldn't see anything. It felt like he had a heating pad and he was dragging it around from place to place, and when it got hot in one place, he'd drag it to another.
To get another, more technical perspective on this treatment, Brad Risser, a specialist in infrared photography, recorded Master Joe during his session with Dr. Upshur.
I wouldn't believe it, but once I saw it on the camera, you would pretty much have to believe it. I was trying to make sense of it, but I couldn't. I've never seen that happen before.
This thermal camera captures what can't be seen with the naked eye. Through the viewfinder, watch the most intense spots as they change from red to white. In the upper right-hand corner, a thermometer tracks the temperature as it begins to climb. Master Joe can literally increase or decrease the heat at will, just by focusing his energy at the rolled-up towel.
It's going up. It's about 150, close to 150 degrees. 160. Still rising.
The temperature climbs, 190, 195, finally topping at 202 degrees, just 10 degrees below the boiling point. Master Joe says the benefits of Qigong go beyond generating heat on command. He can also adjust his energy so that his body weight is shifted from his legs to his chest. He demonstrates this by stepping onto single sheets of paper stretched over box frames. To make sure the paper is as thin as it looks, we choose one at random and test it ourselves.
Hold on to it.
Yeah, hold on to me.
I thought I had it. As soon as I gave it any weight, the thing just totally snapped.
Now, Master Joe steps forward. He climbs onto the first sheet of paper. He slowly works his way onto the second sheet. It gives under his weight, but still doesn't tear. And then the third, making it all the way across without breaking through. Master Joe explains he can make himself lighter by controlling and focusing his energy. As for those who remain skeptical about his power to heal, Master Joe simply says that after treatment, everybody believes.
There's no way I can explain it, but it's real.
We'll be right back.
The strangest thing David took me to see in China was here in Beijing at Purple Bamboo Park.
If you can believe that there is an energy called Qi flowing through the body, that it can be felt and manipulated, then perhaps you can see why some Chinese go one step further. They call this teacher Master Shi, and he tells his new students, come here every morning at dawn for 3 years, and then I'll know you're serious.
3 years? Right, and that's just the beginning?
Yes, but I'm warning you, Bill. What Master Shi claims he can do just doesn't look real.
What's going on here?
Master Shi will tell you he just used qi to throw his student. This is where a lot of the Chinese stories come of all the martial art masters. They could emit energy, and it wasn't just their physical force that beat their opponents, it was their qi.
But that goes against everything we know and understand in Western science. It defies the biophysical laws.
This is where Chinese medicine takes a wide turn off of what we understand and accept in the West.
我用的是和谐的办法，我给它合上。我这里是一个我，那是一个舌头，那分开。就是我的那个意念上那个地方去了。我的意念上那个去以后，我这个地方那个是我的石子，这是我的虚的，我这也不使劲儿。就产生这个状态。
对，这个不用力。
不用力，没有用力，太极不用力的。
对，没有抓我。我明白。
啊，抓我是没有抓我没有用力，我不是这么抓不动。这个我也告诉他，我是用那个思想，我的意念一动，我的意念是一种能量，一种东西在。
你做这个的时候，你有什么感觉？多说是热的感觉还是电的感觉？没有感觉。
没有感觉。
所以没有感觉是什么？
太阳拉着地球转的时候，你有什么感觉呢？这个地磁场你有什么感觉呢？你没有感觉的，因为它有一种平衡感。你别看老师隔着你打我，
那就是你就他先退，然后你就棒他，实际上他就是退。
I don't. Look at his hand. His hand trembles when he does that. Look. Yeah? There it is.
Try 多一次。
跟教他没有关系的，他退不了啊。退不了，这样啊，这是够的。
Now, as an American student here studying this, what's happening?
What happens is, let's say, so I practice a lot of hard martial arts. I go in with my strength, and I push as hard as I can. And actually what happens is, his energy goes out of his body and into your body. So that you become sort of a marionette on strings. Where if he wants to all of a sudden jerk you with just energy, he doesn't have to move his hand. Suddenly every muscle in your body, every cell, expands or contracts.
But that defies all the biophysical laws as we in the West understand them. You don't emit energy. That's not the nature of things.
Well, I guess we have to advance our techniques of studying, because whether I want to believe it or not, I cannot affect him. I've studied a lot of hard martial arts. I can hurt people. I can do all sorts of things with my feet, my hands, and there's nothing I can do to him. And the harder I use muscles, the more muscle I use, boxing, taekwondo, the more violence is directed back at me. Not by him, but my own violence.
Try it one more time. Try to throw him. Millions of people are going to be watching, and I want to see you try to throw him. Really, this is for real. This is not a stunt.
No stunt, and I wouldn't be here to waste my time if it was a stunt. And we haven't done this in 2 years together, because the last time I did this with him, I got very hurt in my spine.
How long have you studied here?
I've been here now 4 years, studying with him every day. So if I can do what I'm doing now and affect him, upturn him, that means I've graduated to the next level and he would teach me something new.
All right, let's see.
So for me, it's very important that I do this, that I actually affect him.
All right, let's see it. Come on, Andrew, give it the old heave-ho.
Come on, Andrew, it doesn't look real.
So, you didn't do it.
No, not yet.
4 more years?
I first met him in the early 80s in a Chinatown of urban Java. He didn't want his real name or address revealed, so we called him DJ for Dynamo Jack. He was only a healer, he said, but he did direct a powerful energy generated from his own body into his patients. Sometimes he used the needles, sometimes just his hands. He called the energy Chi, and it was so strong that he usually needed a grounder to hold his patients' feet. For years we followed him around Java on his healing rounds, pleading to be allowed to film him, but he always refused, saying his powers resulted from a type of meditation with an ancient tradition of secrecy. It was only when my brother Lorne was suffering from a serious eye infection that he finally allowed us to film him in 1987.
It was nothing like any acupuncture I'd ever had. I was getting really powerful electric shocks and couldn't control my movements at all.
Yin yang, positive and negative, you know. And my positive from here and my negative from here. And we meet together, this can get like electricity.
And is this because you're special? You have a special sort of
It's meditation every day.
It's meditation that does it?
Meditation every day. Like you can touch me, like this. It's nothing, okay? It's my burn. Just like this.
For our sound recordist, it was also a shocker. He then took our newspaper outside and showed us how Chi can also be used to set things on fire. When he heard we'd shown this footage in public, he was very upset and refused all our future efforts to contact him again. As the years passed, we sadly resigned ourselves to never seeing him again. My brother Lorne never did, for by 1997 he was already dead when I again found myself with DJ, now treating me for an eye problem. But it wasn't this that brought me back. He had tracked me down out of the blue and invited me to tell me a story. He had just returned from 2 years on a deep meditational journey, alone in the heart of Borneo. Amongst his revelations, he had seen, he said, how history was moving on into great change, and the old wisdom was vanishing. So he'd called me back to film just enough of him to remind us that we all have undreamed of powers sleeping within us, and that there's nothing special about him except for his training in waking them. Grounding this patient, my cameraman Joe is having to use all his weight to keep contact. The Chi is pushing him away. He seems able to control the amplitude of this Chi, like a dimmer switch, and it causes uncontrollable responses in the patients and their grounders.
I can barely keep my hand on you. It wants to fly off. The electricity is so strong.
This mother unwittingly grounds her child. He won't sit still, so she's asked to hold him and grin and bear it. Sometimes signs of this passing energy can be seen in the transmitter too. This Chi stuff is only the surface, he says, of the real adventure beneath, in the meditational technique. Projecting Chi from the palm of the hand can also be used to resist rifle pellets, he says. First, you learn to distinguish between yin and yang Chi in your body. Then how to pool it in your navel chakra. Then how to project it, he says. And it's the proportionate mixture between yin and yang which accounts for different effects, like pulling or pushing objects or igniting them. Then he gets really strange. He says that mastering yin qi is the key to the spirit world. There's a long tradition of Indonesian krisis being possessed by spirits. So people bring him their krisis to see if they're duds. Here, he says, he doesn't manipulate matter by projecting mixtures of yin and yang qi. He merely creates a field of yin energy in which, he says, if there's a spirit, it can manifest itself. So I invited a small group of scientists back from the United States with measuring equipment to test if DJ was for real. And if so, where might this energy belong on the electromagnetic spectrum? Catherine Cook, CEO of the Mind Science Foundation in Texas. Dr. Roger Nilsson, a Swedish medic and international racing sailor. Dr. Greg Simpson, a physicist from New York's Albert Einstein University, and Andreas Polak, one of DJ's Australian students. The visitors are confident they'll uncover him as a fraud in no time. Greg is the first guinea pig, and he's uncomfortable about showing that he can feel anything at all. Dr. Roger doesn't know what to expect. Out comes the metal detector, like the things they use in airports, to see if he has any concealed metal in his body. Then the voltmeter, to try and measure the qi. But how to get it to work? Where's the ground? What settings? DJ suggests that as his negative is his perineum, and his positive is his navel chakra, perhaps that's where the electrode should be attached. He doesn't stand on his dignity. He's eager to help, but still no readings. They're getting shocks off his arm, and now they're on the right settings, but the needle still isn't moving. DJ says it isn't electricity, it's qi.
It's 1, 2, up, I feel it in my whole body. I feel it at 3, 0.3, I feel it in my legs. Shit,
But suspecting there's some tricky setup on his premises they can't find, they insist we all go to a randomly chosen hotel room several miles away to see if he can light a light bulb with his fingers. It doesn't ground on the wall. So Greg holds and grounds one wire, while DJ pumps qi through the other. The bulbs are LEDs, light-emitting diodes, which ignite in different colors according to the intensity of current.
Good. On, off, on.
Brilliant.
Oh, you're blinking.
Things were going well. DJ was enjoying it too, until he invited us all out to lunch at his local, where he tried to push a chopstick through the table. He couldn't get it through the formica surface, so he came up through an inch of wood from underneath. Not only did he draw his own blood, but a chopstick splinter had caught Alison here between the eyes, drawing more. The incident was laughed off apologetically, but next morning he was a different man, drawn and upset. He said he'd been visited all night by his long-dead master, raging that he'd broken the strict taboos of his sect, never to show off in public and never to cause harm or draw blood. He felt deeply chastised. All further testing and filming must end. Never again would he submit to public scrutiny, nor accept any new students. He would sink from sight and continue his healing in obscurity, as he had done since before we met him in the early 80s, and had